I'm gonna be so glad in 3 years when James Cameron gets the rights back to the Terminator franchise, because no one can seem to make a good Terminator film without his help. This is my review of Terminator Genisys. When John Connor, leader of the human resistance against Skynet, sends Sergeant Kyle Reese back in 1984 to protect Sarah Connor and safeguard the future, an unexpected turn of events creates a fractured timeline. Now Sergeant Reese finds himself in a new and unfamiliar version of the past, where Sarah Connor has been raised by a T-800 who was sent back to protect her as a child and have awaited his arrival for over a decade. Ultimately, Sarah, Reese, and the Guardian Terminator come to realize that the new roots for Skynet will come from a future global technology called Genisys, and they attempt to stop it from launching Judgment Day. However, a new terrifying enemy emerges to ensure the eradication of all humanity, as our heroes realize that nothing will ever be the same again. Okay. Let's get something right out in the open here that at no point leading up to the release of this film did I ever think that this was going to be a good movie. And it was only from the fact that I started getting on this damn Terminator kick for the last 2 weeks, started watching the old films and getting the bug to actually start doing the reviews and the retrospective stuff, all this type of stuff that actually just like, I've kind of made now an obligation for myself to go see this since I'm attempting to cover the entire franchise, which all the other reviews have been shot, just haven't been released at this point in time. And it's just like, it feels like I've got to do it now just to cap off everything once I get all these reviews out. And just like, oh, Jesus fucking ass, man. This is not a good movie. This is not a good movie that I was trying to avoid watching or reading reviews or whatnot, but I just knew what the word of mouth was going around just from the headlines of everything and the Rotten Tomatoes score, and just like, I'm just going to try and go and see it and just see it for myself and try to assess it on my own levels and everything, and most of this damn movie just doesn't work for me. That I'll start off saying in a linear type of fashion how the film progressed, everything that at the beginning, I kind of got into it, that the film kind of tricks you a little bit. Just like, it's kind of giving you what you think you want. It's giving you familiar visuals, familiar stuff all over the place. And it starts out in the future war sequence, everything, and you're getting something that looks like something from the first 2 Terminator films, the exact same visual look, all the blue lighting and the darkness and everything, and the laser guns, all the familiar stuff that you saw in T2 and T1 is all there. They're building up that kind of thing at the prologue of the whole film and setting up with all the going back to 1984 and just showing you all the familiar scenes just kind of turned on their heads, and then you're thrust in this whole situation where you don't really get anything really fully explained how and why, whatever, that things have ultimately changed and there's other time travelers who fucked up the timeline already and you just have no answers for this stuff. But I was like, I'm hooked in a little bit. I'm intrigued enough that it hasn't gone to shit yet. The thing is kind of going along on a certain pace and it's going along in a certain way that it has me intrigued if it wants to reel me in and try to start exploring the ideas that it's throwing out there. But at no point does this film actually, again, like I'm going to mention in my Terminator Salvation review, that brings up ideas that might be intriguing, that might cause you to be interested in what's going on, but it doesn't give you any answers. And this is a major fucking problem of this franchise ever since James Cameron departed, that every new sequel they want to do, this is the start of a new trilogy that we're going to do. It's going to start a whole new trilogy. We're going to lead on with the same characters, the same actors, all this kind of stuff, same story threads and everything. But every time they make a new sequel, everyone hates it. Generally, the general consensus is that the movie isn't very good, it's not well received, and doesn't make as much money as it needs to, and then they stop in their tracks, they try to go back and reboot everything, and do something completely different, so there's no consistency, there's no thread through, and that they always, well, not so much with T3, but Terminator Salvation, they start this whole movie that's supposed to be the start of a trilogy where you'll answer the questions later on down the road, maybe, if you actually get around to making those, so you don't make a strong, standalone, solid movie. You leave a movie that has a whole bunch of dangling plot threads and questions unanswered, and no one gets a satisfied feeling at it because you have no idea exactly what's going on in this film. And Genisys has the exact same problem, that it sets up all this stuff of where did the new Arnold Terminator come from, who sent him, we don't know. His memory's been erased in the film, so you have no idea anything. It's not supposed to be answered in this film. It's supposed to be answered in, like, the next film or the film after that or something, because they're just going to set this stuff up. But it also, now that everyone is pretty much well aware that they're trying to start a new trilogy, so they can cash in as much as possible before Cameron gets the rights back in 3 years. So it's like, even sitting there in the theater is like, okay, I know you're trying to get along on the storyline, which is, again, another kind of repeat of T2, is like, let's try to avert Judgment Day all over again, and stuff like that. It's like, well, I know you're not going to do that. I know you're not, the appearance of what you're trying to do in this film is not going to end up that way. No matter what you're trying, what type of illusion you're trying to sell to me, it's not going to work, because I know you're just trying to set up for another 2 films after this, so you can't just say everything's resolved at the end of the film. It's still going to be some kind of hanging plot thread that's going to have to be carried over in a sequel to boot up another entry in this franchise. It's just not good filmmaking. It's not good screenwriting. It's just not good creative decisions with this film. It just fails on that type of level that doesn't make a strong, standalone, self-contained story. It's a blatant sort of thing that you just want to do this so you can get more money, more sequels, churn them out as fast as possible, and who cares? And that's really kind of a vibe you get off this film, because it's, again, like a Terminator 3 type of thing. It's all big action spectacle, very light on substance, not a whole lot going on that, frankly, I was bored in this movie. After a certain point where just like, I was intrigued, and then it just starts going on. Action sequence, action sequence, action sequence, action sequence, and more exposition, exposition, exposition. Just throwing stuff at you instead of trying to build up something enough. There are some scenes in the film that do try to push characters forward, try to develop something a little bit, but it's not enough, because also a lot of the acting talent isn't that great in this film. Some of the more talented actors, like a J.K. Simmons, he gets a very interesting type of role in the film that's not really pivotal in any type of way, at least not from the storyline that we have here. But it's like, you got Courtney. He's cast as Kyle Reese. And the guy is nothing but dead weight in this film. Absolutely nothing but dead weight. After I just spent the last week or two rewatching the first 2 films, I just absolutely loving Michael Biehn's performance. Just like, go watch my reviews of the first 2 films. I gush about him. I say he's an amazing actor, that he brings so many complex emotional qualities to the role of Kyle Reese. Jai Courtney is just dead weight. The guy has nothing. The guy has nothing. He's just an empty vacuum of everything. I just want him to stop talking in the film. I just want people to stop calling him Kyle Reese. I just wanted him to not be in this film anymore. If they killed him off within the first 2 minutes, it would have given me some relief. And that's not even an exaggeration. That's just me, like, the guy just dragged the whole film down, because it's like, you're calling him Kyle Reese. I know what the character of Kyle Reese is supposed to be. Even Anton Yelchin's performance had more depth, had a little bit more something to it. Even and whatever it is, he at least tried. He at least has some talent. Jai Courtney just is probably the best he's doing, and his best is just not even remotely in the same galaxy of talent that Michael Biehn had in this role. Just, he's not a good actor. He doesn't add anything to the film. He doesn't look anything like Michael Biehn. Doesn't look anything like Kyle Reese from the first film. Nothing works. Nothing works with his performance. Nothing works at all. I know what they're writing there, but it doesn't come out with anything that I can connect to. Nothing that resembles anything that I want to connect with. It was just dead weight in this film, and really, Clarke was okay in the film. I didn't find her bad, but again, it's just like, the film doesn't push itself any further. It just kind of like reflects a little bit on the characters that you've seen before. I mean, she's as close to Sarah Connor's, the Linda Hamilton portrayal, as you might want. I mean, at times she does bear a striking resemblance to Linda Hamilton, but you gotta do more than just look the part. You got to act the part. You got to have more substantive material than this film actually gives, because a lot of her performance is just acting tough and just resisting anyone's type of more human touch or whatnot. Just like things just don't really kind of penetrate. Even if it's a decent performance, even if it does some good things, there's just not enough material there to really get it anywhere special, anywhere exceptional, anywhere that just works at all. And Jason Clarke as the character of John Connor, just like, I don't know, it just felt miscast. That's something I just felt. I mean, I've liked Jason Clarke. I liked him on Chicago Code. I thought he was great on that show. But certain people just aren't right for roles, even if they are good actors. Just like Christian Bale was in Salvation. Great actor. Didn't do a good job in the part because whether it was direction, whether it was the screenwriting, whatever it was, wasn't right to get the performance out of him, or he just wasn't the right actor to take on the role or whatnot. Just whatever it is, things just don't work. It's just like it's a different John Connor that you saw with Christian Bale, because right from the opening voiceover in this film, you get to learn that it's pretty much wiping out Terminator 3 and 4 out of this thing. That it's, again, saying Judgment Day happened in 1997. There's nothing regarding how it got delayed in Terminator 3 or any of the changes that happened in Terminator 4. It's knocking both those films out of continuity. Again, trying to have a bit of a hubris saying, we're going to be better than those films, so we're just going to knock them out of continuity. So it's like, better not get that high uppity on yourselves, because you are not. But just the fact that Jason Clarke's performance is like, it's not bad. It just doesn't work very well. It's just like, it's the whole thing with this film that they're just, to me, watching this film, it felt like a cheap TV pilot reboot series, you know? Just like, it feels like you're trying to take Terminator, boil it down to a smaller concept with less talented actors, lower quality writing, cinematography that just does feel like a TV show, a rather cheap TV show. In the film costs $155 million. Sure as hell doesn't look it, because you got a cinematographer who's only ever done television work, so he doesn't look like he's elevating material like you had with Adam Greenberg or other cinematographers around that can really kind of punch up the visuals and make it look like a very high-end theatrical experience. It just feels very bland in a certain way, that the whole film does feel bland. It feels boring to me because it just didn't interest me. The characters didn't hook me in any type of way. But it's interesting that Arnold Schwarzenegger actually does a far better job in this than you might well expect. That he does a better job than Terminator 3, not as good as T2, but the guy is actually putting forth genuine effort in this role, and it's very interesting to see that. It's like, if the film engaged me more, I might have actually kind of gotten a little bit of chuckle here and there from him, but since I was just kind of bored out of my skull a tad bit, that it wasn't getting me to crack or whatnot. But it's like, Arnold does a good job. Arnold does a good job in the film, and it's kind of odd that he is the one that's most spot on the mark, even though there is still those. It seems like the damn people making these sequels just think the Terminator franchise is a bunch of quippy catchphrases, a lot of big action sequences, and a whole bunch of weird time travel machinations and whatnot, that they don't understand that there is actually substance to where this franchise started out. Just things like, there's these 3 different elements, just pack them into the film and people are going to be satisfied with it. They don't understand the deeper emotion that's built into the core of this franchise to really kind of capture that again. They just go for the cheapest, lowest common denominator type of elements to make it somewhat slightly resemble a Terminator film in whatever way. But it's just like, again, I was having none of the repeating catchphrases of everything else, the "I'll be backs," and various other iconic lines in the franchise just don't hold any damn weight for me anymore, because just all of the films just keep leaning so heavily on them because those are the iconic things. Let's just keep using that instead of trying to build something that is iconic for this film alone. They just want to leech off the other films to try to make it resemble a Terminator film in the thinnest way possible, instead of trying to build up something that will stand strongly on its own. It's like, make this film stand out amongst the pack. Make it more than it was. Try to force itself to be as good as those films. It doesn't try. And that's the problem with this film. It feels bland. It feels boring. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't build upon anything. It just like, it completely screws up the timeline, throws right off the bat, like I said, throws 3 and 4 out of continuity and decides to completely fuck up the continuity of the first two films. So just trashing the whole franchise, kind of like, it doesn't work for me. The whole film just doesn't work for me at all. The action sequences just, because I just wasn't invested in the film, I just didn't care. I was just bored with the film. I can't remember in the action sequences. There's just nothing that clicks, nothing that goes on. Just like I said, it just keeps bombarding with more and more action. The thing just keeps hitting you with action that just doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't build anything. It's just there to be there. It doesn't really go anywhere. Just like, it's another action sequence just to be an action sequence so we can run away from things and have a chase sequence and fill up the 2-hour runtime that this film obviously did not need, because there's just not enough substance in the film to fill up that kind of runtime. So let's put more action sequences in the film instead of building a good story with substantive characters and cast the roles properly. It just, it's one of those films that, like, I was bored when I was watching it, and I just started getting more angry about it the more I thought about it after I left the theater. It just, like, the little things just kind of stick in my head and just, like, burn in my brain. Just, like, this film just, get me all twisted up, and just, like, I was getting pissed off with this film, just getting pissed off, and, like, I don't want to go off on a tirade. I want to keep it nice and calm and just not go into that nerd, fucking geek rage people coin. I don't like those terms, but I'm not going to go off on that. I'm just going to say that this film is not a very good film, that I don't think Alan Taylor did a great job directing it at all. I think Thor Dark World was a bit better, but I still thought that was a very flawed film, and not a film that I have any interest to watch again. Terminator Genisys was just uninspiring. It just didn't have anything. It's like, I can give credit to at least T3 and T4 that they had some good ideas that kept me hooked into the film to a certain degree. There were certain elements in it that I gave credit to in the reviews I've already shot and will be released eventually. But let's just say that the film just, I didn't care. That's kind of like one of the worst things you can say. I just didn't care. It didn't invest me to actually hook me in, to actually give a crap. And that's the only thing I can really say about the film. Just like, don't care. Don't support the film. I mean, that's the thing. If the films keep making less and less money, they'll stop making bad films. They'll be forced to try to maybe either stop making them or finally get the damn clue that you have to make good films. But it keeps changing producers, so new people get involved. They don't learn from the mistakes because they weren't there when the last mistakes were made. So it's just like, just stop. That's all I'm asking. Stop. As simple as that. Just stop making the films. If you can't make a good film, just stop. I just want it to stop. That's my request. Please stop making bad Terminator films. I don't like it. Maybe other people do. If you like the film, go ahead. You can like that. I'm not going to stop you from liking it. I just didn't enjoy it at all. I just had no investment in the film. It started off with some, like I said, familiar imagery, familiar stuff going on, but even then, amongst the stuff that had me a little bit hooked in, I still was seeing like certain things just weren't getting there. There's like certain performances were off. Things just weren't quite clicking with the characters or whatnot, but it's a real slightly mixed bag, but mostly it's a lot of shit, in my opinion, that I can't recommend it. I can't recommend it on any type of level of, definitely don't fucking see this in the theater. Don't pay $10, don't pay $5 to see this in the theater. It's not worthwhile to spend 2.5 hours watching this in the theater. There's nothing to gain from it. It's not even, I wouldn't even bother with a rental with this thing. Not if it was like $1.50 red box type of thing. I wouldn't bother. I just don't bother. There's way better movies to watch. There are way more entertaining films, way more smarter films. You don't need to have to see this film. Go off and find something that's much more intriguing, much more satisfying on an action movie level that has better characters, any type of thing. You don't even have to go back and watch the first two films. Go off and just find something much more intriguing, much more exciting. Something's better. Something that is better. Go off and find it, discover it, and enjoy it. I can't give you this film any kind of recommendation at all. Don't bother with it. I don't want you to go see this. I would not recommend you seeing it. I can't say that enough times. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop right now because I'm getting on rambling mode here. But if you guys bother to see the film, go ahead and post your comments below. If you liked it, go ahead and like it. I didn't like it all. If you don't like it, definitely go ahead and feel free to post your ramblings here too, because there's a lot of things wrong with this film that just don't get it off on a good foot for me. So depart on that, and I'm probably going to take a little bit of a break here before I try to get the T3 and T4 reviews out. And anything else, I don't know. I'm probably going to take a little bit of rest after all this. This is a critical mass here right now. I can't really take much more Terminator at this point. I need a little bit of a break, a little bit of a breather, relax my brain, and come back fresh. So after I get the other reviews out, it'll probably be another week and a half before I get another review out for you guys. So I'm going to go on a fresh track and try to do some new things. So I'm tapped out right now. So guys, thumbs up, all that kind of stuff. I'll see you guys in due time. Take care. Bye-bye.